Hey guys, it is Yahuah with you today, and here is the website. So I thought I'd show you this real quick, and the link will be on my page. But here is my book, which you can get in ebook or PDF. Now, ebook, the Hebrew in the appendices, not going to work. You're not going to be able to, maybe I should double check the PDF too, but the PDF should be much better. But anyway, I wanted today to go over to the blog and show you what I posted today. The true feast is obedience, because what I have found since I started learning everything and since all this truth has started to come down to us, sorry, a little bit sick here, but it's cool. There's one thing. I studied so many different calendars, and yet no matter where I go, the only thing anyone wants to talk to me about is the calendar. And are you celebrating it on the right day? So here is my official response to anyone who has that question on what days I celebrate my feasts or the feasts. I'm not going to give you a date, unfortunately. I will bless you and love that you are learning what you are learning, but here is my official response to the calendar debate. The true feast is obedience. In a time when many are awakening to the appointed times of Yahuah, an increasing number of voices have risen to debate one central question. On which day should the feasts be observed? This dispute, while rooted in a zeal for truth, often overshadows the greater matter. Not the shadow of the feast, but the substance of the covenant itself. From Genesis to Revelation, the consistent plea of Yahuah to his people has not been for more sacrifices, but for obedience, mercy, and the circumcision of the heart. Section 1. The original intent behind the feasts. The feasts were instituted in Torah not as an end in themselves, but as memorials and rehearsals. They served to remind the people of Yahuah's deliverance, character, and covenant. Yet even in the midst of these commands, the Most High made it clear. He desires obedience above ritual. Jeremiah 7:22-23. For I spake not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices. But this thing commanded I them, saying, Obey my voice, and I will be your Elohim, and ye shall be my people, and walk ye in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well unto you. Leviticus 4, the sin offering. This entire chapter outlines sacrifices for unintentional sin, showing that offerings were introduced as a consequence of human failure. So, verse 2 and 3, if a soul shall sin through ignorance, then let him bring for his sin a young bullock without blemish unto Yahuah for a sin offering. Leviticus 4:20, and you can go through all these and see them. Shall make atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven. And the priest shall make atonement, and it shall be forgiven. Leviticus 5. And it shall be, when he is guilty in one of these things, that he shall confess and bring his trespass offering for his sin. And the priest shall make atonement for him for his sin, which he hath sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. The Day of Atonement is quite literally make an atonement for you to cleanse you, that ye may be clean from all your sins before Yahuah. What atonement needs to be made other than atonement for sin? And to make an atonement for the children of Israel for all their sins once a year. So, in summary, sacrifices in Leviticus are not a celebration of righteousness, but a response to sin, failure, or impurity. A temporary means of atonement until obedience, repentance, and cleansing could be achieved. So what did Yahuah really want? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. For I desire mercy and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of Elohim more than burnt offerings. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering, right? And then you have Jeremiah 7 again. And then Micah 6, what doth Yahuah require of thee but to do justly and to love mercy and walk humbly? Now, again, animal sacrifices, not sufficient, right? For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sins. So then what became the next step instead of the bulls and the goats and lambs and everything else? We have Yahusha's, right? That sacrifice. And then what warning were we given after that sacrifice? For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sin. If you know what you're doing is wrong, if you know that he told you not to do it, then why are you going to place your hand on the sacrifice of his son when his son himself said, go and sin no more? It was supposed to be clearing the conscience of sin. So, obviously a certain fearful looking of judgment, how much sore punishment, suppose ye, shall he be thought worthy who hath trodden under foot the Son of Elohim, and hath counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified an unholy thing, and hath done despite unto the Spirit of grace. Confusing, but essentially meaning to continue in sin after receiving truth is to treat the blood of Yahusha as common, as if it were no different from a temple animal, and it's like trampling his offering underfoot. Yahuah's point was never that, oh, I want you to keep sacrificing for your sin, sacrifice for your sin. And what was Yahusha but a sacrifice for sin? We're not supposed to continue in sin, therefore needing to continue to sacrifice. We are supposed to walk in obedience. Sacrifices were temporary. His offering was perfect and final, but to returning to willful sin after receiving his grace is not only dangerous, it's a deep offense against the covenant. And the calendar debate, right? The recurrent obsession with precise calendar debates often serves not as a mark of spiritual maturity, but of pride and division. The apostolic writings echo concern over such preoccupations, and you can read Galatians and Colossians more thoroughly, but essentially, ye observe days and months and times and years. I am afraid of you, yes, lest I have bestowed upon you labor in vain. Why? Because those things were observed, those dates were done to cleanse people of sin. Now, do I want people to not learn about them? No. Certainly right now in the time of sinners where we are currently, we should learn about these things, but we need to learn why they were instilled in the first place and perhaps go to before the golden calf. Just like Jeremiah 7 said, he didn't say that. The day they came out of Egypt, he did not ask for sacrifice. He asked for obedience. It was the lack of obedience that then led to law after law after law. Imagine being Moses and two neighbors come to you and they're arguing and they can't figure out how to love one another. So they're arguing, and Moses has to settle the dispute, and then it turns into a law. That's no different than what we're going through today. People can't figure out how to be neighborly and love one another, and they bring disputes to court, which creates more laws. That's what happened in the wilderness. Not because they were righteous, but because they were unrighteous, because they couldn't grasp the simple concepts of love Yahuah with all your heart, listen and obey, love your neighbor as yourself. All the rest of the Torah hangs on these, does it not? So then, in Acts 15, there is the explanation that yes, they would continue to go to synagogue and learn more and more, but the idea was what? Abstain from pollutions of idols and from fornication and from things strangled and from blood. Fornication being obviously anything outside what Yahuah said was acceptable for such behavior. To lay upon you no greater burden than these necessary things. Why? Because they couldn't quite grasp it, just like the ones in the wilderness, right? The first generation with Moses did what? They sinned and they failed. It wasn't until the children came up that understood the truth and love and truly how to obey that then they followed correctly. And they did for an entire generation. You will find that it says that that group of people followed perfectly until the elders of Yahusha died. Then it started to go the opposite direction. We see the same thing. We got that sacrifice and that understanding, but we turned it into so many different philosophies, right? And now, even though we have the truth coming down through Torah and all these things that we're learning, everyone wants to go back to Torah, that's great. But we've been divided yet again into more denominations, no matter what truth comes down, no matter what book or teachings comes down, whatever leader, whatever Mashiach comes down, whatever king we're given. We are given truth, but then we turn it into divisions again. And we're still sinning today because we haven't learned the basics, that he doesn't want blood, he wants obedience. So, right, the confusion, we find many continuing in sin today because of the confusion about grace and sacrifice. You're never meant to put your hand on the sacrifice season after season because that means you're continuing in sin. Only because sin continued did these sacrifices continue. How much worse that we continue in sin after the sacrifice of Yahusha, his blood being much more precious than the blood of lambs, goats, rams. Yet we treat it as something we must continue to lean on as crutches because we can't bring ourselves to truly die of our flesh and become the temple Yahuah wants to dwell within. It was our sin that led to blood being shed, but in the end, the lamb will lay with the wolf, and there will be no sun nor moon as a clock reminding us of our duality. Sin will be no more, and there will be only one light left for us, Yahuah himself. And of course, these verses here in John just confirm that Yahusha only did what his Father said. My doctrine is not mine. I do nothing of myself. The Father gave me commandment. The Father dwells in me. He does the works, right? The Son will always point back to the Father, even within his own name. His name meaning Yahuah saves. His name's not deliverance. His name is Yahuah saves. Yahusha. Because the Son will always point towards the Father, and the Father's name is always within the names of his children. They do not come in their own name, they come in the name of the Father. So the conclusion, the true feast, and the light that remains. The feasts of Yahuah were given as reminders of sin, deliverance, covenant, and the promise of restoration. They were never meant to become the object of worship, but rather shadows that pointed toward a greater reality. As Paul wrote, these are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Messiah. In the end, when all has been fulfilled, the sun and moon themselves, those timekeepers that men debate endlessly, will no longer be needed. The prophets testified of this clearly. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But Yahuah shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy Elohim thy glory. And in the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of Elohim did lighten it, and the Lamb is its lamp. And there shall be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun, for Yahuah Elohim gives them light, and they shall reign forever and ever, much like in the Garden of Eden before Adam and Eve sinned. It was just the one light, the presence, and we got to walk with him. So these verses remind us that even time itself will dissolve into eternal presence, and the focus will no longer be on observance, but on dwelling face to face with our Creator. The calendar debate is a shadow. Obedience is the substance. Yahuah seeks those who worship him in spirit and in truth, not in ritual precision, but in humble submission. The true feast is obedience. The everlasting light is Yahuah. Let us walk in both while there is still time.